Everybody, it's your main man, Anthony Brogdon on the one and twos, and I got a guy on my channel that I admire him. He don't know this, but over the years, I have looked and admired him and what he does and the career that he has had. And just as a sideline, we in that same group that I talk about every now and then, where we wear that black and gold. I just got to throw that in on you for you just to say that, right?
Right.
Which is an indication of a little bit of our mantra. How about that? And why we think alike in some respects. And so I'm excited that he's come on the channel. He's lived the story that he's gonna tell you, and it's in his DNA, and he's gonna tell you a little bit about that. So hit the subscribe button on Strong Inspirations. You see what I'm doing. I'm putting up 4 or 5 videos a week. I'm staggering them, but I'm putting good content up. You can't say it ain't good content, because I let the people do the talking and they know what they're talking about. I'm excited of the people who come on the channel like this young man. Did you see the video I did with the guy who he says, hey, Jackie Robinson wasn't the first black to play in Major League Baseball game, and he got the proof. And as I have looked into it a little bit further, there were not just the guy that my interviewee or my guest talked about, there are others. There's some, gray area there. Nonetheless, watch that video on the channel. Did you see the one I did with the guy out of Omaha, Nebraska, and the Black History Museum in Omaha? Check it out, my friends. I did not know Malcolm X was born in Omaha. Yeah, there it is. And he witnessed things, and that shaped his life. Watch that video. Did you see the one I did out of Mims, Florida? This lady tells a story about this guy, Harry T. Moore, strong brother. He ain't taking no mess from them races. He's signing up NAACP chapters. He registering people to vote. His friends is telling him, man, be cool, be cool. He said, man, I ain't gonna be cool, nothing. Well, they got to him. On Christmas Day, they blew him up in the house. They ain't got no religion in their heart. It was Christmas Day. Blew him up. And wife was, I guess not in the bed at the time, whatever. But nonetheless, she died 9 days later from her injuries out of Mims, Florida. It's a museum now. Watch that video. You see the one that I did where we talk about how Black people got to America before slavery? It don't start at 16, 19. It, went down in there in Florida and whatnot, and it came up through the coast. There's interesting stories there. We tough people, man. You can't hold us back. All them bondages and things that you did, it messed with the head, no question. But we persevere. Watch those videos on the channel. I like this video. You're gonna, I know you're gonna like this video. I've talked to him, and I like when he talked. And you're gonna like this video. So hit the like button. Hit the notifications bell so you get a ding when the videos come up. And if you can change the sound and get you some jazz music when the ding come up, that's smooth too. And tell somebody about Strong Inspiration. Don't keep it to yourself. You running around and you impressing people with stuff you find on the channel, and then you don't want to tell them where you got it from. Don't do that. Let it flow. Do that for me, my friends. And I want to let you know I like you for watching me. I get good comments every now and then, inspiring people. Somebody say, man, I like that video. I didn't know that. And I live in that town. Like the video I got where the lady talks about her great-grandfather in Charlotte, North Carolina, how he owned a bunch of land and willed it to the city, and it's a school and a housing development in his name. She tells the story. Oh, I'm not playing with you. I'm giving it to you straight, no chaser. I put a lime, a lemon, whatever you want in your drink of knowledge So you can stagger when you walk away from watching this. I want you to fall down and say, thank you for doing it, because I've learned something and I'm inspired by it. And, you know, my commercial, everybody, watch my movie. I did this movie, Business in the Black, The Rise of Black Business in America. If you did not know, you can know now that there were slaves who owned businesses and did very well. So much so that they told that guy here, I give you some of this money, let me go. And many instances the guy did. They bought their freedom. It's in my film, my friends, which is streaming on Amazon. Just go there and type in Business in the Black. I had to put my name, I'm not sure. And you know, you who've been watching me, I wrote this book. See, I followed through on mine. Might take me a minute, but I did. Took me a couple years to compile over 200 facts, similar to the movie, so I had some already to go with, but many more. All the banks, I can't say all, because you know, some slipped through the cracks. A lot of the Black banks throughout our history are chronicled in my book. A lot of the Black newspapers throughout history is chronicled in my book. A lot of the HBCUs throughout history is chronicled in my book. A lot of the social business, civic organizations and how they were founded are chronicled in my book. And I don't give you no commentary. I'm not trying to say this is what I think. I let the facts stand on its own merit. And if you don't believe me, I'll tell you where I found the fact. So you can just go to the end, the facts is numbered. So you just correspond that number to the reference section. Check it out, one more thing. And I'm so confident in my book, you buy it, you don't learn nothing new, I give your money back. No questions asked. If you that smart, maybe you don't need it. I just hope you pass it along somebody who isn't. But I give your money back. A book with a money back guarantee, there it is. Now, all this that I do, you can, you know, learn about it and so on and support me and all that kind of stuff by just going to my website, businessintheblack.net. I'm a businessman, and in the Black is where I want to stay. And anybody in business, they feel the same way, because red ain't good. Now, you hear me use this term strong a lot. Strong is my favorite word. I like the word strong. Strong is the name of this channel, this show. Everything I do got something strong in it. And in my world, strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. And that is my introduction to my guest today. He's a strong soul brother, Black and gold man. Everybody, yeah, you know, I got to throw that in because I'm proud of that move. And come on, introduce yourself. Tell us, you know, your name, a little bit about yourself. Thank you for being on.
You're well. Thank you for inviting me, Anthony. My name is Kano Smith. I'm a lifelong Detroiter, born, bred, educated in Detroit. My name is Kano Smith. My parents blessed me with the name of Audley Smith. I am a junior, and I've had the great opportunities that life has been able to afford me, both professionally as well as culturally, travel. I can go on and yes, simply say that I've had a very interesting, full, rich life as an African world citizen.
Yeah, I love it. Let me start off with just a little bit about yourself. Let my viewers get to know you a little more. Where were you born? You born in Detroit?
I was born in Detroit. Born in Detroit, went to public school in the city. I graduated from Central High School in '65. Graduated from Wayne State in '70, and did graduate studies at the University of Ghana, which ultimately led to a degree in international politics and economics from the University of Detroit. Oh. My experience in Ghana for maybe about a year and a half, 2 years in total at the University of Ghana in Accra, at the University of Legon in Accra. As a graduate student, was an extremely important turning point in my life. It was the time that I was actually christened with the African name Kano. The family that I got to know of African world citizens from the continent, the UK, Caribbean. We were all very, very and intrigued by each other's life experiences. And it was that group of friends who became my African family, my Ghanaian family, that gave me the name of Kano.
Let me ask you this. Do you know where in terms of your background, how your family got to Detroit? Where's the plantation at in your family?
Oh yes, my parents are first generation Northerners. They came up after World War II from Natchez, Mississippi. That's where my family heart and soul and home is. Both my parents were born in Natchez, and it was after the war. My father was in the Navy, that he did, like so many others, came up north for better opportunities in the auto industry.
I got you. What was let's say your great grandfather, and you go back, know some of those stories and where the slavery is?
The family is working on those kinds of stories and confirmations. My grandfather was an AME minister in Natchez. My grandmother on my mother's side was a Seaford, and she and her siblings, or at least 4 of the 8 siblings, were products of my great-grandmother's relationship with her white master, as we would.
So he had 4 kids with her.
He had 4 with her, and then she had 4 with her Black African husband.
Which would you want to meet him? Would you say anything to his descendants?
Well, the interesting thing about him is that he was an immigrant, German Jew, that came to the Americas in the middle 1800s, late 1800s. And I believe he was a medical doctor. And my great-grandmother was really a housekeeper. She was not an enslaved woman who worked in a plantation for him. He was a professional medical doctor. She was the housekeeper for the home. But no, I had thought about it, but I really have no interest in speaking with his descendants because who they are, German Jews, the first thing they will think, particularly if they have anything monetarily, that we might be looking for a bit of that inheritance, which doesn't interest me or any of my cousins or my remaining aunt, who's the matriarch of our family now. All of her siblings, which were 8 of them, she's the only remaining one. But we have a couple of cousins who have taken a deep dive and are doing more research and finding out more about of the family. I did receive a picture of my grandmother's father just in the last month. My cousin in Dallas, who's doing the research, found it online.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
What, and I know this just because I do, how did you get to the point of Black history like you are? What,
Oh, well, it
yeah,
was really
I
kind of
know that,
easy.
yeah.
It was really kind of easy. I went to Central High School in Detroit. It was a predominantly Black high school. We had excellent administrators and teachers, counselors at Central High School in those days. They emphasized the importance of understanding our history. We didn't have Black history courses per se, but yeah, in our history courses or in our civics courses or in our English courses or even in our math courses or science courses, the teachers made a point of making sure that we knew that there were Black people who excelled in all of those areas that we were currently studying.
Sure.
So the school was also very smart in engaging us because that was the period of Dr. King,
Right.
the civil rights era, engaging us in taking up the issue of everything from housing to education, improved housing, improving healthcare for Black people, because that was the mantra of the civil rights movement. I remember walking with my parents from the main library on Woodward Avenue. We drove to that area and walked with the rest of people of consciousness when Dr. King delivered his first "I Have a Dream" speech.
Oh, you were there?
Hall. Yes.
Oh my
But
God.
by the time we got to Cobo Hall, we were near the end of the parade forces. So by the time we got there, he was already speaking. We could hear his speech through loudspeakers that were set up on the outside of Cobo Hall.
As a young kid, what did that? Were you you felt I'm Black and I'm proud at that point?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Our like I said, our teachers and counselors, and in those days, back in those days, the public schools, certainly Central High School. I can't speak for all of them, but I know Central was on par.
With the background you had, I mean, in terms of your parents, could you have been considered, excuse me, a radical student? I mean, were you like the kind of guy that
Only
came to school?
once I got to college, we all became a lot more radical, because then the civil rights movement, which, you know, from our perspective, was a great learning ground for activism when you were in high school. But once you got to college, the whole Black consciousness, Black power movement was the dominant ideology of Black activists. And so, yes, we were part of the student body that closed down Wayne State University.
Oh, really?
Insisted upon, with the help of our great Noah Brown, Kappa brother,
Yeah.
but he loved us all. He loved Black students, and he supported our efforts to insist that the university review its admissions policies, its financial aid policies,
Okay.
getting more Black lecturers on staff, more Black counselors.
Okay. I love it. Was there a book that you might remember that really transformed your life in those earlier years?
The book that probably had, or at least the author, because I read a lot of his work, was Kwame Nkrumah.
Okay.
Marcus Garvey, many of the authors and activists who were engaged in Pan-Africanism, which of course became the next evolutionary step of your Black activism, is that you're local, pretty much, or state, thinking about things that affect Black folks in Detroit and Michigan. While I was in high school, college expanded that mindset to what was happening to Black people across the country.
I got you.
Then as you began to look around, periscope up, intellectual periscope up, you began to look at Black folks in Canada, Black Brits, Blacks in the Caribbean, Blacks in Central America, obviously folk on the continent.
Yes.
So you begin to evolve your thinking and your activism around an expanded intellectual exposure.
Now, I noticed your mom is very active and had done a number of trips to Africa, correct?
Catherine Blackwell, yeah, she was
Yes.
my godmother.
Oh, your godmother, okay.
Godmother, yes.
Godmother. She told you some things that led you into this direction, or
actually,
to some extent?
I met Mama Blackwell after I came back from Ghana. So we met up through, we were introduced to each other by Esther Gordy Edwards, Barry Gordy's eldest sister. And she was the head of an organization called the African American Heritage Association. And she was arguably one of the first Detroiters to embrace in an institutional way the term of African American by the name of this organization, which was founded for the purpose to establish an African American Heritage Room on Wayne State University's campus. That room is still alive and beautiful today. We had massive murals done by John Lockhart. We had carved doors made in Ghana, brought over to be a part of that majestic room, which is I forget the name of the building. It was Gullen Hall. But it's right there on Warren and the Service Drive.
Okay. Let me ask you this. So how did you decide for this to be your career path to international studies, and then what would be your next move after Wayne State? How did that come about?
Well, part of my thinking, once I got to Wayne State University, my undergraduate degree was in political science. I studied West African political economy while at the University of Ghana. My studies concentrated on a comparative analysis of Anglophone and Francophone colonialism on the continent. I came back and completed that degree at the University of Detroit, which was in international politics and economics.
I love it.
And my thinking at that point in time, which was the early 80s, mid 80s, was that I would, once I got the degree from the University of Detroit, would be interested in joining the U.S. Diplomatic Corps.
Oh, okay.
My dean at the time, who had spent a lot of time in Uganda, a couple of his kids actually were born in Uganda, white gentleman. You know, we became very good friends while I was at the university. And he did not think, once he got to know me, he did not think that my joining the State Department was a good career move.
Okay.
He says, you're probably a little bit too radical for the life of a diplomat, because it's very structured, and you have different protocols and etc. So fortuitously, I ended up working for a federal agency called the General Accounting Office, GAO, which investigates the government of the United States for fraud, waste, and abuse. So that was probably one of my best, believe it or not, professional experiences, because I learned a lot, taught me a lot of skills.
Let me ask you this: how did you apply to go to Ghana for graduate studies?
I applied. I just a good friend of mine, Lee Fisher, and his good buddy John Knowles did a multi-country tour of Africa in the early 70s. They both said they had the best experience in Ghana, and because Ghana was also the official language was English, that I was confident that taking university study courses there would be compatible with my mindset. And like I said, I have been reading a lot of Kwame Nkrumah, a lot about Pan-Africanism. And in my research of universities on the continent, particularly those where the official language of instruction was English, the University of Ghana stood out from universities in Nigeria and other places. So that's how I ended up at the University of Ghana.
Let me ask you this: so you get on an airplane and got a bunch of clothes, you land in Ghana, and now you're living in the dormitories or housing?
I was in the dormitory for about 2 months, and then I had the unfortunate experience of having all of my financial resources, my cash, my cashier's check, liberated from me one evening while I was at an event for graduate students in political science, and I didn't realize there had been a break-in. Somebody obviously had a key to the dorm room and took what they wanted. Well, took my cash, took my money. And after I discovered the theft the next day, I obviously reported it to the dorm master, who reported it to the president, vice chancellor, as they were called, of the university. And within hours of notifying the university of the theft, I get a visit from the vice chancellor, a representative from the vice chancellor's office, who came to apologize that something like this had happened to a brother from America, and was told that for the year, my tuition, books, room and board would be covered by the university.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So after that information, I was informed of a colony of African world citizens who were lecturers or graduate students at the university who lived about a mile from the campus. So I moved out of the dorm after that and moved into what was called the South Legon chalets. And but don't get it twisted, they weren't chalets.
Yeah. Okay.
We consider them. They were nice bunker type rooms.
Okay.
One bedroom, shower, and there was 4 units and this octagonal structure. Every 4 units there was a communal refrigerator and kitchen where we cooked. So I moved off campus after about 2 months. Maybe it wasn't even that long, maybe a month after being in Ghana.
Okay. What was it? How did you feel being from Detroit? And Detroit is a predominantly Black city, so it might have been a little slight of a transition to life in living there, and just in Africa in general. You know, I mean, we're gonna move up the timeline a little bit, but how is that?
You know, I was so ready to get out of Detroit, primarily because of what I considered disappointments in the Black Power, Black consciousness movement, disappointments in the civil rights movement, and was simply ready to make a change in my life. And I felt the need to be out on my own.
What is life like, if you can compare the two, between living in Africa and living in the United States, and we can be specific in Detroit? I mean,
well, you know,
what's the difference?
the particularly in '76, you know, the city of Accra and Kumasi and Bogotanga, Teme, they were all fairly developed, well-developed cities. But you had, you know, where the university was from the central part of Accra was basically right on the edge of being in the country, you know. So the university was an interesting experience because it was built by the British. So it was a very beautiful campus at that time.
Okay.
Massive library with all kinds of works by writers from all over the world from earliest of times.
Right.
But, you know, most people live very modestly, or we would consider them poor. And,
okay.
You know, you just got used to the fact that this is how it is, and, you know, tried not to act like you're better than somebody because you slept on a mattress and they're sleeping on a straw mat.
Oh my God. Okay, I got you.
So, but going to the marketplace, buying your food, cooking your own food, the people in the marketplace getting to know you, and so you became a member of the family.
I got you.
There were days when I could be on the Trotro, which is a truck with some benches in it, and that was used to transport people. There were no municipal buses and that kind of thing.
Oh, really?
And so people would, once they heard my accent, there would be a great deal of interest and commotion around where I was from, what am I doing?
Oh, really? Yeah.
And I've had some of the greatest experience by being basically insisted that I get off the truck with a person and going, well, mostly men, women would not be
Yeah.
that forward unless they were in, in the business. But, brothers would take you home and to meet their family, and you're sitting around and everybody's picking your brain from the eldest.
Oh, really?
From the eldest grandmother and father to the kids. And, you would have a great meal. They would give you the best of what they had. And it wasn't steak and lobster, but it was made with love, and you felt such affection for the people.
What was it like? I'm assuming this is the case, but maybe not. Seeing Black people all the time.
Wonderful. You don't realize how much stress we are under psychologically and physically when we are in the minority in places like the United States. Everybody that became part of my family, close friends, were a few people who were like myself, nomads, and they just had to get out of the US. But while we were at the university, of course, we embraced a lot of the students who were doing their junior year in Africa. So we had students from Brown University, Wesleyan, NYU, and the fact that we all were, and there were some of the African Americans who were disappointed in what they saw once they got there and had to go back home after a month or two. They just couldn't deal with the modest lifestyle they had to adopt even at the college level.
Okay.
But it was a sense of relief. I mean, you wake up one day and it hits you that all of that stress, and we're not even aware of it most times because we've been so conditioned as Americans, African Americans, to the stuff that we have to deal with here as Northern.
For sure.
But when you go to some places, whether it's Caribbean nation or Africa, where you are in the majority, that sense of security envelops you and makes life, you're just much more comforted.
I got you. Now, I've heard people say, though, even with that being the case, they still looked up to the white people that lived there.
That's true. Yeah, I was
I mean, because the white people still found a way to have the bigger houses, whatever.
Yeah.
And they still looked up to them.
Yeah.
Even though they were in the minority, the white people.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very, very true. And I had to get over being disappointed in my African brothers and sisters who behaved in a beholding manner to even white professors who, there was obviously a section of the campus that were standalone homes that were very nice, that were for the teaching staff, professors, assistant professors, senior administrators, and they lived very well. They had beautiful homes.
And most of them were white, maybe. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm just saying that the white ones that were there was given a level of respect and accord that, sometimes you get a little disappointed in seeing that.
Okay, let's talk about the disappointment on just one more note. Were you disappointed in the level of corruption that we always hear about over there? And did that filter down to you directly where I better be careful because this police officer might mess with me, knowing I'm American, think I got money, so
I
on and
didn't have
so.
that problem. I didn't have that problem in Ghana at all. I had that problem in Nigeria, where your luggage, it was just the system. You'd have to pay in US dollars for overweight luggage, even if it wasn't overweight, versus the Naira. You had policemen who would stop the taxi cab as you left the airport in Lagos to go to wherever you were staying. But a massive corruption at the government level. I didn't see it like it's so obvious now.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I know that the president of the country, Champong, when I went back to Ghana about 6 months later, I was there from 76 to the end of about a year and a half, 76 to the end of 77. Went back in April or May of 78. And I was riding around in the taxi, getting used to my old environs. And, it came on the radio that he had been taken out of the presidential palace and killed by his former soldiers.
Really?
So, I've lived through political turmoil. And of course, the reason why they felt that he had to go was because of massive corruption and, so.
Yeah, I got you. What we're moving along here. What about did you given that you left there and then you ended up, as you told me a little bit while, you spent 10 years in Liberia?
No, Namibia.
Okay. Doing what? You
I
were
actually
working there and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I was working for Don Barden. I was the CEO of his Africa operations. He had a company called Barden International, Barden Motors, that was engaged in the right-hand drive conversion of North American GM vehicles that we sold as a fleet dealer to the Namibian government primarily. But once we got up and established, the Namibian government introduced us to all of the other heads of states in Southern Africa, as well as the King of Swaziland. So we ultimately were able to sell fleets, and a fleet of vehicles is 6 vehicles or more, to all of the African nations from Angola, Zimbabwe, down, Botswana, Mozambique, South Africa, as well as to NGOs. The U.S. Embassy bought vehicles from us. And our first order was for 1,000 vehicles to the Namibian government that Don had brokered when the president of Namibia, the first president of Namibia, visited Detroit in 1995.
So what happened? You all, were these brand new cars that you got from America?
They were brand new GM vehicles, from the smallest single cab pickup all the way up to the Suburbans, which were used by ministers of the various government departments, deputy ministers got a Tahoe. Police got double wide pickups, single cab pickups. Those who were, it depended upon the ministry and the department.
And so you all had a manufacturing plant to do the conversion.
Yeah, we actually built the plant from the ground up, and we had all of our technicians, our key technicians, in a train-the-trainer program where they got while the building was being built, we were hiring skilled engineers or senior mechanics to come to the United States for training. They were trained primarily at a company in Pennsylvania called Quigley Motors, but they were also trained up at Baker's College, former GM institution up in Flint.
Okay.
Assistance provided by Africare in Washington, D.C.
Sure.
So they got a range of training experience, both technical and professional, so that when they came back, by the time the building was built, they were well versed in the art of right-hand drive conversion. And we had a commercial dealership attached to the facility. So we were also selling individual cars to farmers and people in the mining industry who loved and remembered big, strong American cars that stopped being shipped to the thanks to the efforts of Reverend Leon Sullivan, who forced the divestment of U.S. investments in South Africa in particular.
Right. What was is there a difference in the work ethic of them there in that country or in Africa in general than Americans? I mean, they take the job that much more seriously, or any of that kind of comments?
I think that we made a concerted effort to hire the best and the brightest of the labor force in Namibia. And what we found was that their colonial experience of being subjugated by the Germans and the Afrikaners, the white folks who were the minority leadership in both South Africa, Zimbabwe, formerly Rhodesia, Namibia, formerly Southwest Africa, that they had inculcated a certain kind of cultural mindset that really worked well for us.
Oh, did it? Okay, good.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So
I mean,
good slant. Yeah.
Yeah. Germans and Afrikaners, they don't play African time. I mean, so we had a very dedicated workforce that appreciated getting to work on time, starting on time, quitting on time. We also had a workforce that was far more skilled and intelligent than their certificates might state. And what I mean by that is that Namibians, the people that are tinkerers. So, if a car broke down, they couldn't worry about a part or something. They had to figure out a way to fix the tractor, to fix the car, to fix the clock, to fix the refrigerator, to fix the stove. And so their skill set and tinkering and figuring out how to make something work or work better was evidenced in their work ethic at Barden Motors, Barden International.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you yourself, and I guess as we kind of come to a close, you yourself was hanging out with some kings and royalty and that kind of thing as a result of this, and not only hanging out just socially, but business, running circles with those people
every day. I met Kabila Senior before he passed.
Who he is? Who?
He was the first, not first, he was the president of DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo,
okay,
which is the richest piece of real estate in the world.
Really?
You can't find a piece of real estate that has as much wealth and life years of minerals and gemstones and earth minerals that are now valuable in the development of all of our current high technology than you will find in the Congo. But yes, I met Dos Santos in Angola. I met King Mswati from Swaziland. I of course met Mandela. I'm, you know,
yeah,
I
on
you know,
and on.
yeah, you know,
yeah.
Because the beautiful part for me was that as the representative of Don Barden, which was the largest investment made in an African country by an African-American businessman, you know, I inherited the respect that they give any investor, actually.
Sure.
But the fact that we were Black or are Black made our investment of money, time, treasure, all the sweeter to the Africans.
Did you, as a result of that, were there other Black people from America there? Is there a community of Black people from America that you kind of could?
The ones that were there were primarily sisters who married liberation movement leaders who were in exile in the United States before independence in 1990. So there was a lot of women that these brothers had married, and then once they got back to Namibia, they became the prime minister or the minister of mines of energy. You know, they were
really?
They were part of that upper echelon political elite in Namibia. But unlike West Africa, where Kwame Nkrumah was beckoning Blacks in the diaspora to come home since the early 60s, you did not have that same kind of appeal because these countries were under the boot of the apartheid South Africa for so many decades.
When you say these countries, you're not talking about Congo and
no, but the Congo had Belgium, you know, so it was different European colonial boot.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
Mozambique and Angola, they had Portugal.
Okay.
You know, another pair of European boots on African nations' necks. You had even in former Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, you had British colonialists in the political administration of the country. So with the exception of Swaziland, which is a royal kingdom. And they made a deal with the British decades ago, so they were never colonized like the other parts of the region.
Right.
But you name the country, and they got a former European.
Yeah. Is it easy to travel between the countries, or do you have to have a visa or something like that?
No, most of the countries these days don't require visas.
So you can just kind of go back and forth.
Yeah, you just go back and forth.
Back and forth.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this on a lighter note. What on and maybe socially something that you did? You bragging on. I'm asking you to brag on yourself in this regard. What moment blew your mind when you were somewhere and the king is there and they eating all this good food and the dance is going on? Give us an example of that.
Well, there were several, and
Yeah.
the most memorable for me actually occurred on U.S. soil in Washington, D.C. at the Africare offices when they hosted Nelson Mandela when he first got out of prison, his first visit to the United States. There was a small luncheon for about 40 people. And I was fortunate enough to be one of those
Oh my God, that's
to be
beautiful.
invited to that luncheon. But also on the continent, Mr. Barden was, as you may recall, very close with Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
He brought Michael over to Namibia on 2 occasions. The first occasion, his youngest son, they called Blanket, wasn't even 2 weeks old, and he had a nanny from Sierra Leone basically minding the kids. But when Michael came to Namibia, he obviously was celebrated in a way that, you just can't even imagine,
Yeah, sure.
running after the motorcade, and, it was fun, and it was a joyous occasion to see how much love the Namibians had for Michael. And then a week or two after that visit in Namibia, we took him to Swaziland as a guest of the King Mswati. And it was a dinner that included Mr. Barden, myself, and our deputy, a brother named Berlin Madison, and Michael, and one of his chief handlers, I guess we could call him, and King Mswati's 8 wives. So his 8 wives sat across this huge table from us. They were all absolutely stunning, beautiful African women.
Yes.
Michael, who had been, he was tired, so he had been fairly inattentive during the early part of the dinner. And I and my deputy, we chuckled because the women, the wives came in from their hierarchy, first wife, second, etc. And Michael rose up like
he was interested.
He woke up. I'll put it that way.
Is there a question that I have not asked you of any note?
Well, after leaving the operation in Namibia, which was the result of GM reneging on its commitment to Don Barden to continue to provide the technology to convert vehicles from left-hand drive to right-hand drive. And we then sold the assets, sold the building, closed the operation. I was honored by the Namibian government with being asked to become the honorary consul of Namibia to the state of Michigan. So I now represent Namibia, all things Namibia, here in the state of Michigan.
Last question, when you got there, did you kiss the ground? I heard people say that.
I actually did. I actually did.
Did you cry did you cry at any point for where your life has taken you while you were there, and you close your eyes and say, dang man, I'm a kid from the Detroit Central, whatever. Look at where I'm at.
Yeah, I think there was more than one of those moments.
I can't imagine.
You know, you pinch yourself when you were there. I mean, because even simple things like funerals in Ghana, there was so much pageantry. So all of the things that we had thought about and had read about, the pageantry of African cultural traditions, you saw almost every day.
Really?
Yeah, you know, you go to the marketplace, and Makala Market in Accra is one of the it's probably 1,000 times the size of Eastern Market.
Okay.
And each section was primarily designated by your tribal affiliation.
Okay.
So you can be going through the market and you know, somebody is celebrating the birth of a child in Hausa, or somebody's celebrating a wedding to be, and they are Shantis.
Okay.
So you would experience a whole range of African traditions and cultural expressions by various tribal or ethnic affiliations every day.
I got you.
You know, you just stop in your tracks.
I got you.
And you just marvel at people dancing. Pouring libations, or
I got you.
Some other rituals.
I guess one more just came to mind. Is there something, let's say big or small, that you've gotten from there that is your most prized possession?
Yeah, I've got a couple of pieces from Ghana that are still hanging on my walls.
I got you. Hey, everybody, this is what I do with Strong Inspirations, man. We got through it, and my man told it because he lived it. This is what I'm doing. I'm bringing you this history. I'm bringing you this life through the people who know. Kano, I'm so excited that you come on. Hey, man, thank you so much for coming on the show. Everybody hit the subscribe button on Strong Inspirations. You see what we're doing. Hit the like button, and if there was a love button, hit that one on this video. Hit the notifications bell for when the videos come up, and tell somebody about Strong Inspiration. This is what we're doing. We're giving it to you succinctly, history from around the globe. And to you, Kano, I say this, I thank you again so much for coming on this, and I mean this with all sincerity. I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind. I got an icon on my channel today in you. I got the counselor from an African country on my channel in you. And I got an ordinary guy, don't mean no disrespect, out of Detroit, who have done beyond imaginable things in you on the channel. Thank you for doing that, everybody.
My pleasure.
I'll see you again soon.
All right, brother. Thanks. Take care.
All
right.